So we have a new group of authors who I want to do the same thing in terms of starting with saying who you are, the name of your book. No, don't try that. And then they are in a different place in terms of their books, so that we're going to ask slightly different questions. So I'm going to start with Michelle and all of her sparkly, amazing glory. Please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Warzak, and the name of my book is Ass-Kicking Women. And it's a collection of stories of women in my network and how they engage the power of their informal networks. And what else do you want to know? I'm excited. I cannot wait till it's finished.
Perfect. That is where we're going to go with this conversation. Jamie.
I want that book. Hi, I'm Jamie Crump. The name of my book is Backstage Pass, Pulling the Curtain Back on the Business of Supplier Diversity. And it's about the business strategy of supplier diversity and the primary characters who make it successful, or in some cases unsuccessful, and how they can correct that.
My name is Dr. Steve Giacovelli. I am the author of Pride Leadership, Strategies for the LGBTQ+ leader to be the king or queen of their jungle. And I'm just, it's fairly new. I'm the only one who actually has a physical copy, woo, in this part of the panel. It just came out, and yes, that pun is completely intended. It came out in June. So I like to say it was my soft opening in early June, and this conference at NGLCC is my restaurant, full open. Here's the book, enjoy.
Hi, so my name is Sheree Krim, and my book is called The Business Case for Kindness, How Kindness, Respect, and Trust Has the Power to Transform Corporate America. And the reason why I actually wrote this book is really important because I was in corporate America for 15 years. So when you talk about knowing the good, the bad, and the super ugly, that's what I know. And you guys were talking about the catharticism of doing all of this. Just spitting this all out and getting it out has made my life so much easier. Let me tell you.
I love this. Okay. So what's crazy to me, again, I have great, meaningful, deep relationships with everyone that we work with. But even as they're talking about their books, I'm getting excited as if I have nothing to do with it. Like I was watching someone's face in the audience and I was like, yes! Like, yeah, it's just insane. All in good ways. So we have one person on our panel who actually has their book out yet. So I want to tweak our questions ever so slightly because all four of you are in very different stages of your book process. So maybe starting with Sheree, because yours is the one that is most imminent. So do you want to just share, I'm curious what I know what it is, but I want them to know, what your kind of purpose and impact is that you're hoping to achieve, because now it's kind of like, I'm hoping that I get that, we don't know it yet.
Right. So I wrote this book to be the blueprint for the future of our leaders. And how do we get businesses to make changes? You show them how much money they can save, right? I know it sounds crazy. So that's why it's called the business case for kindness, because I actually show you with what you make the changes, how much money you're going to save or how much more productivity you're going to get within your company. And that's the key. I know it sounds crazy, but kindness is the key to all of this. Somewhere along the line, we stopped treating employees as people and we started treating them as numbers. I have gone through 15 years of layoffs. The company I worked for laid off people for 15 straight years. In fact, it's at 19 now, straight years. And they're just numbers. You literally get a spreadsheet, and this is how many you have to lay off. And that's not the way this needs to be. And we can make this change, and I want to put it out there and show us all how to do it.
Yes, love it.
So, as I said, my book just came out, and the complete non-agenda pushing thing is I want to start an LGBTQ+ leadership movement together. I've been in the space I've been a leadership consultant pretty much my whole career, so it's been 2 years. All right, 25-ish, whatever. And I've seen what really works for leaders, what has made them crash and burn, quite frankly. I'm a former Disney person. I was an IBMer for like a hot minute. Alumni. I was a professor for It was horrible. But you see what leadership impacts for people around the world and what makes them work and what makes them not so work. And I was going to write kind of a generic leadership book. And then Carrie Bradshaw, if I'm dating myself, I couldn't help but wonder, is there something about being within the LGBTQ plus community? I say plus because I lived in France instead of plus, it's just cooler. But if being a part of the community, you actually have an opportunity to flex certain leadership muscles that, while our straight brothers and sisters, of course, can be amazing leaders, we can just be pushed in the community to be a little bit more different. And I think, Rhodes, you say like shiny unicorn sparkles stuff? Superpower, yeah, he said superpower, I love that. But yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So I kind of did a pivot and really focused my energy on putting the voice to this book through the lens of being an out gay man for pretty much my whole career. And no one's speaking toward that exactly, and I want to be the one to say, look, you have some superpowers. Here they are, if you don't know them already, but here's ways that you can actually be even more awesome and make an impact on the world.
Okay. IBM alumni for a hot minute too. Yeah. I spent 25 plus years in supply chain, and with that, working with supplier diversity. The last 11 years in corporate, I had both. I had supply chain and supplier diversity. And then 2.5 years ago, I went out on my own and started consulting. And I found there was a big gap between these main players like the C-suite and the supplier diversity professional and supply chain professional and the end user who's actually buying all of this stuff that we're all interested in, and the diverse business owner. And I started looking for material that I could reference my clients to, and I didn't find much. There was a lot on D&I. There was a lot on Isn't It Nice? There was a lot on economic impact, but it's a business strategy, just like cost of goods sold or just like anything else that you're building a strategy around. And I wasn't finding that. So I kind of landed in the academy by accident, and kind of threw it up to the big guy and said, so everybody tells me I should write a book. What do you think about it? And fast forward a few weeks and the big guy went, yeah, I think you should try it. So here I am. So I am still writing. So for a lot of you, I think it's kind of like giving birth. A few months later, you forget how painful it was. I'm having contractions right now. Because my deadline is less than a month away. And I called Jen and I'm like, I'm freaking out. But it has been amazing. And because I'm a supply chain person, when you want to do something and it's not your core competency, you go find somebody who's expert in it and you let them guide you. Yes. And you outsource it. And that's exactly what I've done. And I don't fear the editing process because I've spent 25 years of lawyers redlining my contracts. So I think I'm good if I can just get to that document that they're going to get. So that's kind of where I'm at. The impact is, I want it to be out there for these different characters. It's for any of them to understand the others because it's really about understanding, and that's where you get the partnership. And in a lot of cases, they're just ships passing in the night right now, and I'm hoping I can contribute towards helping fix that.
Nice. Good job.
Are you having contractions too?
Yeah. Oh, I really have to tell my story. No. So I've been speaking for 22 years now. Doing workshops and keynotes. So I'm in a different position. And for years, people have been telling me, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. And my audiences have been asking for a book. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I wrote a little journal. I self-published it called Reflecting on Your Personal Brand. And I sold 3,000 on my own. I was happy with that. I was like, wow, ooh, that's pretty cool. And then I happened to read an article about Jen and the Academy. And I thought, oh, maybe I should give her a call. And she took my call. Believe it or not, somebody answered the phone.
I'm easily accessible.
I know. Yeah, she is very. She will take your call. And so I signed up for the academy. But I'm a different type of person. I cannot be in a cohort with other people. I have to go one-on-one. So I signed up for the academy one-on-one with her because I can't write when there's music, distraction, noise, things going on in my life. I'm that kind of writer. And I don't know how the rest of you are, but we all do things differently. So that's what I signed up for. And then my father-in-law was just diagnosed with cancer. And then we had to go to Connecticut, and we did an Airbnb for 3 months. So while my wife was taking care of her father, I was pounding out the book every day. And it was great space for me because it was quiet and blah, 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 blah. And then and I got the writing done, or so I thought. Till you get your first edits back. Anyway, then the father-in-law dies, and then we sell his home and the other family home, and then we get transferred from Tampa to Charlotte area, and we sell our home here and buy a home there, and here I am in August, and the book was supposed to be launched in May. So life happens. That's my point here. I'm still in the process of writing and messing with it, but after this conference, man, I'm going home and shutting the door and telling everybody to leave me alone. I don't care what's going on out there. I need to shut the door, and I have the support at home. Trust me, I do, and I'm excited about it. Getting back to the purpose so I had to frame that so you know where I'm at. With regard to the book, I have been speaking on informal networking for many, many years because there is nothing out there about informal networks. There's very little about how much time people spend in informal networking and how it relates to money, return on investment, benefits to your career. And so while I was having a conversation with Jen, I said, I want to explore informal networks more. And my first draft and first outline was very generic. And I'm trying to appeal to men and women and all kinds of audiences because that's what I do. I speak in front of all kinds of audiences. And Jen goes, why don't you focus on women? Just ass-kicking women. She's the one who came up with the title. Got to give Jen credit. And then I went to my network. So it's the middle of the night. And I look through my thousands and thousands of women in my network. I mean, I have thousands of people I know. And I'm like, okay, let me pick 100 women and send a simple email with 3 questions, survey them, and see if they would have an interest in it. 98 responses came back within 24 hours. Wow. It shows you the power of your informal networks, and if you take care of your gal pals, your buddies. So then I feature 20 women in the book. I could feature 2,000 women because it's so impactful, and the stories that these women shared with me, their secrets, their strategies of how they became successful informally, not in the business formal network. And men have been doing this perfectly for years, for hundreds of years. They've got it down to a science. Women were first learning in it and taking advantage of it. It is a huge competitive advantage to network informally. Yeah. And so I write about that, and it's exciting. Again, vulnerability with regard to writing about myself. I'm used to writing business, and here, do this, do this, do this. Michelle says, do this, and you'll be successful. But then to write about myself is kind of quirky, but I'm getting used to it.
This is such a beautiful segue to where I wanted to go. I'm going to start with Cherie. So there is so much mental clutter that we have to overcome, and I've written 5 books. I'm working on a 6th one right now, which is my memoir, which is a whole other set of mental clutter. And there is a fear that we have that we were talking about with the first 4 of I'm not good enough, who wants to hear my story, etc. But another huge fearful part of this process is marketing and promoting the book. So, I know, for someone who it's like the easy parts. Because now you have this book, but now you have to tell people you have the book. And that can be very pushing you outside your comfort zones. So I'm curious if you have any general thoughts, but more so, especially for the three of you who it's not out yet, what are you doing now, before it's available, to tell people that it's coming? Because I know that our team starts in the very early parts of the process to say, listen, I know that you don't even have the first word on the paper yet, but I want you to go to your social media sites and tell people that you're writing your book. Yep. Because now you have accountability. Yep. And now you have a whole world that you cannot let down. So, along that vein, please.
Right, so I'm actually putting my book up in December because I want it to be the business book for 2020. So I'm not just doing the book. So my company is called Be Kind to All. I do training, consulting, pay audits, which pay audits are the future. So anybody in this room who wants to learn more, I know how to do pay audits, which is very important for women and other people to get the equal pay they deserve. But so I'm making it not just the book, I'm making a kindness pack that goes along with it. So you can get your t-shirt that says kindness matters on it. You can get the stickers. You can get the things that show that this is not just about the book. This is your change. This is how we're going to be leading in the future. So I'm taking definitely a different approach. Now, one thing my social justice has taught me is how to get books in libraries. So I can get everybody's books in libraries. It's not hard to do. You just have to have somebody request it, and they have to get it. So I've learned a lot of things. So I'm putting that out there for everyone to hear. All you have to do, every library has to get, if the book is published, has to get it in there if you request it. So you just have to create that network of people to do that. So it's the different ways of doing things. And again, back to your informal and your networks and your people, that's what I'm using, because with my social justice, I have a humongous base of people that is just waiting to read this book to hear about the real life experiences and the stories I put in there, because they're all going, that happened to me too. And that's the that's what makes it so worth it, because I know that it's not just me. So.
There's so many things I could say right now, but first of all, I will say that the American Library Association and the Public Library Association are my long-term clients, and I absolutely adore them. And they were thrilled, and they're like, we want your press. So they've been so awesomely supportive. So side note on that. For me, just the first thing that comes to mind to answer Jen's question is the power of social media. The power of podcasts, thank you, Rhodes, and so many others who have interviewed me. But social media can never, ever, ever be understood or understated, nor starting now. So I remember when I first started with the book, I had a mock cover. It's horrible. I did it on PowerPoint and made it. But you do that. You start putting people out there, and they're like, oh, how's your book coming? See, it's going great. Thanks for asking. But it's also looking at going beyond that and leveraging the tools like the Twitters, as my grandmother says, or Twitter, LinkedIn, all the social media. Don't underestimate the power of Instagram, by the way. Don't discredit that. It's pretty darn amazing. Finding a way to manage that effectively. I wish I learned that a little bit earlier on. Zero endorsement, but I now use Hootsuite, which is a way you can do posting. Thing is flipping awesome, I gotta say. But for example, Mayor Pete was in Orlando. I live in Orlando, Florida, and Mayor Pete was there a week and a half ago. And obviously, him and his husband have a fantastic Twitter following. And I'm like, I want Mayor Pete a picture with Pride Leadership. Yeah. And so I weaseled my way into this event he was doing. I had 2 books signed, one for him, one for Chasten. And just as he's about to leave, I was able to, excuse me, Mayor Pete, I just want to give you this. You truly embody my book, which literally he does. I'm no social or political endorsement, but he does. And I didn't even ask this, but one of my friends was right behind me, and he just, and it's gold. And I'm not a big Twitter person. I have a consulting practice for 13 years. I've never had to market. It's all word of mouth. I've been very blessed. It's fantastic. Now I'm getting into the world where, I gotta promote myself. This is kind of weird. And things like Mayor Pete, looking and thinking about the opportunities that you're in where you can say, hey, I'm doing this. I want to change the world. I want the world to think about leadership differently for LGBTQ+ folks. doing that and thinking about that as early as possible is an awesome strategy for you to do right now.
I outsourced it. Because I'm supply chain. But no, I think, the academy is what did it for me. And I have friends who have published, and I have some who have self-published, and some of them have done, they're good books, but they're not as good as those people are. And they really struggled with it. So it's like, if I'm gonna put the time and effort into this, I want a quality product, and I wanna do it with, I'm lazy, with as little effort as I need to put into it. And I think the thing is, you just have to give yourself over to the process. Jen says, trust the process. I have commitment issues, but but I can give myself over to the process, 1 week at a time in the academy. And they did have me starting very early, and I took it to heart, and I did the stuff, and I've done the homework, and I'm not done yet, but I do have a very good base to start from, and I've always believed in the network. I've always, I've been managing people for 25 years, and I've been telling them all the way through that, you don't want to be that person that people only hear from when you're looking for a job. Use that network. It's going to make you better every day. And so now that's going to pay off for me big time, because I've got a lot of great people who are saying, can't wait to see it. My commitment is, there's a bookmark in the back that says coming Q1 2020. So there you go. And I've got a lot of people that are going to be very supportive when the time comes. So, but yeah, trust the process, let the experts do it. And then if you hire an expert, isn't it Steve Jobs who said, you don't hire great people so you can tell them what to do. You hire great people so they can tell you what to do. Great people.
There you go. Marketing, I love marketing because it's connecting your products and services to your customers. I used to teach this for 15 years as an ad hoc professor. So I love marketing, and I wanted to skip the writing process and go right to the marketing plan. But Jen wouldn't allow me to. Huh?
True story.
But I do have my launch ready. She doesn't know it yet, though. No. But I've been giving some thought to the launch, the book launch, the daunting book launch. What's that going to look like? So me, I have to do things big, and I brainstorm, and I ride a Harley Davidson, and I learned to ride at 50, and I teach people how to ride, and I ride all over the country. And so I want to do a 48-state tour on the back of my motorcycle carrying my books. Yeah! Hell yeah! I'm going to be on the road for 3 months, I decided.
Talk about a PR situation, right? So we think about creative ways. Great example.
Yeah, and one of the neat things is that I'm also a quality specialist for Harley Davidson Riding Academy. Talk about another network. And so I visit dealerships all over the country. And every dealership that I've gone to, I've spoken about my book. And they love the title, and they can't wait. And they're going to sell my books in their dealerships. Yeah, and I have all their business cards ready to go. And so it's a different way. So I encourage you, when you're thinking of marketing, don't think linear. Think out of the box. Connect it to what you're passionate about. And remember that passion sells. So I love this book. It's near and dear to me. The women in the book are just phenomenal in their stories. And I'm just really, I'm blessed to know them, and that they were willing to share their secrets and their strategies and their stories and their heartfelt messages. So, and then this is my way of giving back. I want to tell every woman out there that they're an ass-kicking woman. Yes. And that's my message. So.
Beautiful and a great way to end it. Give these 4 lovely humans a round of applause. So So before chaos erupts and everyone's up and moving, I want to say that for anyone who is in this room and you're on the fence thinking about this, I already had some awesome conversations with people I did not know, which is amazing. If you're interested in having a conversation with me, number one, I'm at the Marriott Waterside, is that the name of it? Down the street? Water Street? Whatever it is, there's a Marriott right nearby.
Across the street from the event.
Yes, I will be there tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the lobby area, so if anyone wants to just come and chat, please do so. There's no hard sell or anything crazy like that. But I recognize that we're in a group of a lot of people, and it's hard to have that one-on-one conversation. So even if there's 5 of us to just talk tomorrow morning to brainstorm and think about, how do we articulate your story? How do we really kind of get to the root of how you're trying to help people and create change? So please take me up on that offer. And then if you can't be there, of course, I have business cards on the table that you can take on the way out. And as they were saying, I am accessible, and it's me. I'm not outsourcing this function to someone else. It's me having these conversations, just because I genuinely want to change the world through amazing people like all of you in this room. And now, with that being said, Robin, since you are a socialite and loud and lovely,
Not really sure how to take that.
it's a compliment. It's a compliment. I'm going to have you pull business cards. And for those who are checking time, we are doing really, actually, surprisingly well on
We
time.
are like on time, and for a bunch of queers.
Or honorary queers for those who are not part of the conference.
Ally, even.
Okay,
You're
so
hanging with queers.
the first raffle Jen has brought, she's been like Mary Poppins dropping books everywhere this week. We have 2 copies of her book Inclusion that we are raffling that she's signed. So if you want to grab,
And the
drum
winner
roll.
is Robert St. Genus.
Robert. Is there a Robert in the room? Robert in the room. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Must be a present to win.
Oh, and next
Ooh,
winner.
okay, try again. This is why I asked her.
Paper.
Piece of paper. All right, what
Who
do we
wrote
got?
their name on a piece of paper? Who's excited? Jacqueline Williams.
Jacqueline. Yeah, girl, let's do it. All right. And then we have 2 copies, so we have another one to give away.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm coming to you. Don't you worry.
So the next winner is Jamie S. Crump.
Oh, Jamie. Yes, keep it in the family. Yes. All right, beautiful. And then, trying to multitask on these successfully. We have 3 journals that are just, we haven't released them yet, but they're just line journals. The purpose of life is a life of purpose. Great quote, right? So we have 3 different ones.
Stephanie O'Neill.
Stephanie O'Neill, USAA.
All
I had a great conversation with her yesterday.
right.
All right, I guess we gotta be present to win.
Elise
Elise.
O.X.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you. You're very welcome. All right,
And what? How many more?
I got 2 more of those. I know, you're like, I'm ready. Bad choice of words.
Elaine Martin.
Elaine, I feel like I saw Elaine. All right, you don't jump up quick, we're moving fast. All right, next.
Next is Melissa Simmons.
Simmons. Yeah.
And wait, we have one more.
Yes, one more. Your choice. Okay.
Melissa Lowry.
Aw, Melissa. All right, I think the very last thing, one more.
Oh,
is-
okay.
This is the big one.
Okay,
And if
great.
someone's already written a book, it's not helpful. But a seat to our next author academy.
Ooh. I hope I win. Oh wait, I didn't even put a thing in. All right. Jen O'Ryan.
Oh my Jen O'Ryan.
So now you're on the stick. You're on it. Gotta
You are
do it.
on the hook. We didn't even talk one-on-one yet, girl.
See?
Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that concludes everything. Oh, we'll just ignore some of the things. Yes, okay, so as I said before, so those of you going back to the conference center, it is 7:59. I think everyone who knows me knows this is a miracle for me right now. 7:59. So I would encourage you to get the Uber XL or the Lyft XLs and just caravan back. We'll be hanging out here for quite some time, so if you want to come up and chat, I'm here, and many of our authors will still be here too. All right, thank you, everyone.